Now it's 8:01 o'clock on the dot on a Wednesday morning. It is August the 16th. I'm WESH 2 First Warning Meteorologist Eric Burris, and this is Coffee Talk, where we get together 7 days a week, chat about what's going on in the world of weather, and of course, goal here, get you updated on the forecast, both locally and on a broader scale, because at least in today's case, there are some things that are not necessarily happening here locally. So we'll talk about all of that. But first, let's raise our cup of coffee. Let's say it's Wednesday. We're almost halfway through the week. We're going to make it through the week. We're going to be fine. So, okay. Now I think I can make it through the day. All right, let's take a live look outside. Shall we see what's doing? This is our Tower Cam network over in Lake County, a mix of clouds and sunshine out over Lake Dora. An absolutely beautiful start to a Central Florida morning, if you ask me. In terms of temperatures, we are comfortable, but we already have rain showing up on radar. Here's our first warning live Doppler radar. Let me just lapse this. The good news is the heavier stuff that we were watching is kind of fading, but my brother Frank over there on the West Coast have a feeling there's going to be some stormier weather that you may be tracking up into our area around, say, the Sumter County, Marion County area. Not really watching any of this bothering us at the moment, but there is rain, right, that's showing up on the radar. So just keep that in mind, something that we're keeping eyes on. Mid-70s in Flagler County. Good morning to you. 78 degrees in Orlando. It is 80 degrees in Leesburg. So here's our forecast today. It's going to be a stormier forecast, starting off with plenty of sunshine, but notice we're adding in the clouds, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in that window, we're building up that 40, 50, 60% coverage of showers and thunder showers. In other words, rain chances really going up, and in turn, it's going to help to keep our temperatures down. So today, 95 is our high temperature on the day. Yeah. Frank says, oh, it's raining now. Is it already raining? Well, that's our radar. I guess I could switch over to the Tampa radar and get a closer look. But I mean, like, our radar, hold on. Our radar, Tampa radar, not really that different. WESH, Tampa. Yeah, not that different. It's raining now. Are you sure? That's like a bunch of ground. Oh, I see. It was raining a bit ago. Oh, I see. There's like some rain fading. Every now and then I'll do a personalized forecast for my brother Frank. Yeah, I see some of that rain popped up. That's where my brother lives. Anyway, all right. So enough about that. So rain chances today going up, keeping the temperatures down. We're not to average temperatures yet, but at least we're headed in that right direction, right? 95 in Orlando today, 94 degrees in Leesburg, about 91 in Wildwood. Look over to the beaches, 92, 93, 94 degrees. It's going to be a nice and toasty day across Central Florida. But what about the radar in the future? Where do we go from here? Let's take a look at Futurecast. Yesterday, the model did a meh job. Let's see how this plays out today, all right? So through the morning, obviously, bottom left corner shows. Through noon, I think my brother Frank's going to have some rain. This is also the driest part of Central Florida. So, yeah. Agaya says third day of band camp over at UCF. Got let out around 7 yesterday due to storm coverage. Yeah, I was actually talking to Mr. Dave Schreier last night on the phone. I'm going to set him up with some lightning detection stuff just to keep all you marching knights safe. But hopefully we'll have better weather. So let's check in on that for my marching knights and for all of the rest of my friends. Here we are. Hold on, sip. All right, so there's lunchtime today. Rain's out west. Watch how 2:30, 3 o'clock, that coverage really increasing, right? And then afterward, it's just kind of wanting to hang out east. Now, according to this, I would say that the metro area from about 3 to 5 o'clock is going to be the window, and that includes UCF. And then afterward, it kind of starts to work over toward Brevard County, 7 o'clock, 8, 9 o'clock. We're starting to quiet things down. So all in all for today, the good news is we've got a bunch of rain. We need it, but the highest coverage of rain today is going to be in kind of the metro off to the east. Now, this morning, obviously, the West Coast is getting some rainfall, but I'm talking about during the day today. So like through the afternoon, that's kind of what we're looking at. All right. Diane's laughing out loud. 95 is keeping the temps down. You got to love Florida. It's true, though. These are scorcher temperatures, right? Man, I'm not a fan of that heat either. Arlene says it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It is. It's a stunning start to the day. Are you, Frankie? Cool. Cooling down. Oh, cool down coming tomorrow, 92. Yeah, so at least the temperatures are kind of shifting around a little bit. So let's just take a look at the 7-day forecast to notice how these building rain chances are changing the temperatures, right? So for today, it's 95, and then we continue with that high moisture content for our Thursday and our Friday. And I mean, look at those temperatures. Below average for our Thursday, which makes me wonder, I'm going to do this on the fly, of course, when was the last time we had a below average temperature? Give me a second. No, it wouldn't be that. It would be daily data listing. Departure. Okay. All right, so when was the last, I'm just curious here. When was the last time that we had a below average temperature of 1 degree or more? July 28th. So not quite as far as I thought. July 28th was the last day that we had a temperature a degree or more below average in Orlando. So, it's perspective. It's not as impressive as I would have thought. But for the summer, okay, so let's look at this. Option selection. We'll go to... When does meteorological summer start? Is it May? Hold on. I'm not thinking this morning, so I need to remember. All right, meteorological summer is June. Okay, so in June, see, this is where I want to do a little math equation. I'm looking at June. I'll have to do the math. I don't know that it'll do it for me. Seasonal time series summer average temperature number of days. No. Percent of days. No. Max temp. Percent of days greater than... It doesn't do averages. Okay. Regression line. I don't know if this will work. Yeah, it's not going to work. I was trying to look at the number of days. I'll have to do math on that, and I'm just not going to make you guys sit and wait around for that. But I was just curious of the mathematics of our forecast. What's the percentage of our meteorological summer that was above average? Because I've got to believe that that's a grossly high number. So anyway, Tom says, love the hot temperatures. I'm glad. Even the lower temperature, like Thursday, that's still a hot day, that's not a chilly day. That happens to also be the day. Alicia and I are going to go flying, I think, tomorrow. So that'll be fun. Haven't had a drop in Mount Dora in over 2 weeks, Richard says. Well, hopefully we'll get some rainfall today for sure. We do need it. Anne-Marie says, to think 92 will be a cooler day. I know it. Oh, man. Steph says, my husband's band is playing outdoors at One Daytona Crossman Speedway 6 to 9 on Friday. Any thoughts on rain chances as of now? So it's early, but we can look in and just kind of get an idea of what Futurecast is trying to throw together. So there's 6. So it looks like for now, Futurecast is kind of showing that maybe a little bit of distant thunder, Steph, but, fading. And it looks like the sea breeze will have moved in sufficiently. So hopefully we'll be able to get that taken care of. That sounds like it'll be a lot of fun. Yeah. Terry says we had some rain early this morning in Denell, and you did. I was watching meteorologist Kellyanne Class on the air about that. Yeah. Let's see here. Can't wait for cooler temperatures. Can't stand this heat. I know. Agaya, go Knights, charge on. Go Knights, charge on. I think I'm going to go out to UCF this Friday, actually. Janice, how's Alex doing? Miss him. You know what? Maybe we'll do a little impromptu Facebook Live, just checking in with him, see how things are doing. Yeah. Right? Actually, in my neighborhood, the gutters along the roadway are still full of water. Interesting. Mine are not, but I didn't get rainfall this morning. Make it rain. You know, Annie, you know I don't have that power, right? As long as you know I don't actually have that power. I'd love to have that power, but I don't. Now, I will say the atmosphere is such that today we do have a level 1 out of 5 risk for isolated strong to severe storms. So, you know, and it's not even just the severe risk. There is even the potential for some flooding rains. So just know that today we could get some decent thunderstorm action across central Florida, which I don't need severe, but a little decent thunderstorm action is never a bad thing. And then also remember the fact that we haven't had rain in a while in areas, which means that, you know, you ever hear the term, is it black ice? Like the oil that's on the roadways could become a little slick, that sort of thing. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. So for us today, if you're heading out to the theme parks, I probably should update this graphic. The castle hasn't been that color in a couple of years now. They repainted it. So probably should update the graphic. I'll get there. At any rate, Magic Kingdom today, high temperatures getting into the kind of low to mid 90s. And then, yeah, we'll get those thunderstorms going. Catherine says we could have a college football pep rally. Gators play in 2 weeks. Praying for a winning season. Listen, I'm praying for a winning season for my Knights. I'll be out at UCF, I think, on Friday, cheering that on. Yeah. Jody's asking, when are the storms supposed to start in East Orlando? Jody, I could tell somebody showed up late to Coffee Talk. We'll look again at Futurecast, and then we'll get into the tropics, because y'all, the tropics are getting busy. All right, but first, here's a look at Futurecast this morning, showing that stuff in the Gulf, and then kind of showing more stuff through noon around Pinellas, Hillsborough, up through the Nature Coast, okay? Then by about 1 o'clock, there's the West Coast sea breeze getting active. There's the East Coast showing a few showers getting going. And then watch how at like 2, 3 o'clock, widespread thunderstorms, and then east of town through about 5, 6, 7 o'clock, okay? So that's where we're at. Jody says, called out by teacher for being late. Yeah, but you don't need to get into college with my recommendation or commendation. So you're good. I think you're good. I don't think you have much to worry about with me, at least. I don't think that you don't have to worry too much. All right. Any other questions about our local forecast before we talk tropics? Anything at all? Deb says, oh, Eric, tell me this weekend will be nice in Daytona, please. I mean, you know, we'll have some storms, but then once that sea breeze scoots in, you're going to be good to go. You know? All right. Enough about our local forecast. I'm going to take a sip of coffee, get those local questions in. Otherwise, we're moving on. Yes, Steph's asking about the rocket launch. That's a good one. So we do have a rocket launch, Starlink launch. At the beginning of this window, we're not looking excellent. But toward the end of the window, we're looking better and better and better. So, yeah. For now, that's kind of where we're at. All right? All right, now I'm going to reset the computer to the tropics. I'm going to give you all a minute to get any other local questions in you may have. Yukon says, channel your John Hope for the tropical update. That's right. It is 51 past the hour, and it's time for the tropical update. You know, I haven't watched the Weather Channel in a really long time. But my God, my TV when I was a kid was locked on the Weather Channel. Man. All right, y'all ready? Y'all ready to talk tropics? I mean, I see almost 500 people watching this morning, so something tells me y'all know there's something in the tropics. Also, before I even do that, I saw this thing on, was it Instagram or was it TikTok? I gotta find. Did y'all see this Category 6 thing? Hold on, let me see if I can find this. There's a TikTok video. I gotta try and find it. Yeah, here it is. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can play this trash for you. Hold on. Hold on. Let me put this on the screen because I hate this. This is gonna drive me nuts. Hold on. Hold on a second. Put that there. Put that there. Put that there. Okay.
My Florida people, have you guys realized how it's been insanely hot all summer and spring, and now going into fall, it's just getting hotter by the day and more humid? It's been unbearably hot even for Florida. Well, that means one thing. That means a terrible hurricane season. But what they haven't told us is that it's predicted that September 6th of this year, Florida and the Carolinas will be hit with a Category 6 hurricane.
Wrong.
That is a hurricane that is stronger than when Katrina hit Louisiana.
What?
The hurricane that is coming is expected to destroy a majority of Florida and destroy a lot of the Carolinas.
What?
This is going to be a nationwide catastrophe storm. But the media and news or weather channels haven't said anything to us. If you look on TikTok and you search this information, many scientists and meteorologists have been bringing this to the attention of the government, of the Weather Channel, of the right powers that be, to let the people know to prepare themselves. And we as Floridians haven't heard anything. Why is that?
Because it's wrong.
I'm here to tell my fellow Floridians, start getting prepared now. There's nothing worse than running to get supplies when they're all gone. Pray for everybody. Pray for Florida. Pray for the Carolinas.
What the absolute blank was that? Anyone want to help me? I mean, I'm all about praying for Florida and praying for the Carolinas and this and that. I'm all about that. Listen, y'all, everybody can use prayers. Like, you want to help somebody out, I'm all in on that. Okay, so I am so... Here's the thing about that. Karen, you pointed that out too. Yeah, last night, Jeannie was like, what about Georgia? So, hurricane categories. Do I need to do that? Like, I see that and it just makes my blood boil, because this backfeeds the idea that a lie makes it halfway around the world before the truth has an opportunity to get its pants on, you know? A couple of things. First off, I do appreciate that she used my hotspots. I don't know that she watched us. I would imagine she does not watch Coffee Talk if she's even a real person and not like AI. So I appreciate that she used our hotspots, but September 6th. Okay. I mean, there are storms in our window for September 6th, but couple things. There's no such thing as a Category 6 hurricane. Scientists have not been talking about September 6th there being a Category 6 hurricane that's going to destroy most of Florida. There's so much there. It's going to be worse than Katrina. I mean, the tropics are getting active. But nowhere here are we talking about making a new category of storms just for the fun of it. You should make your own TikTok correcting her. I'd pay to watch it. See, I need to figure out how to do all of that. Oh boy. I just have to laugh. I just have to laugh. So anyway, that's BS. So what's the real deal? I appreciate you all for being here to talk about the real tropics. Okay? All right. Oh. There we go. All right, so enough of that. So there are 3 areas that we are watching in the tropics for right now. The one area in the Gulf has a low-end 20% chance of developing over the next 7 days' time. There's nothing there now. That blob in the Gulf is to show you that there's an area that will try to form out that direction. And then out in the open Atlantic, there's a couple of areas with a medium chance. So let's do this. Let's start at the coast of Africa and just kind of work our way through. Decent wave out there off the coast of Africa, doing its thing. For now, it's moving right toward the Cabo Verde Islands. It's not organized yet, but it may try. And there's a window where this could get going. Over the next 7 days' time, a medium 40% likelihood that this wave gets going. Okay? That's number 1. Number 2, the second wave. It doesn't look like much out here because it has gone face first into that Saharan dust. All right? As it continues to work off toward the west, though, we do think that development will happen here. There's a 30% likelihood, a low-end chance over the next 2 days' time, but a now medium 50% likelihood over the next 7 days' time. All right? So there's an area of low pressure. It's weak, but it's something to watch. Then here in the Gulf, nothing there right now. There's moisture over South Florida, but there's nothing for now. But models do indicate the potential of something trying to form from like the Caribbean to the Gulf. So this is going to be an area more than likely next week to watch. Okay? So, that said, where do we go from here, right? Well, let's just take a look at the global models together. If there's one benefit to hanging out for coffee talk, it's that I try to give you all the data so that you don't go on the interweb saying stupid things like, there's a Category 6 hurricane, and it's going to kill us all. Serenity now. Okay, so let's take a look at the GFS. This is the most recent. This is the 6Z GFS. There, right off the bat, where it says forecast high 92, you've almost got like 1, 2, 3 systems, right? Kind of one that moves into the Caribbean there. That is Sunday, 2 p.m. And then the 2, the 994 and the 1003. So a couple out in the open Atlantic. And the open Atlantic ones kind of do their thing, but don't lose sight of that one in the Caribbean, right? Like, let me just back this up. You see that little dot moving right toward the Antilles right there where it's at the K in talk? You see it right there? Don't lose sight of that one because the 2 out in the open Atlantic look to recurve, but watch the one that's moving through the Antilles. It's quiet because it's not very strong, but it's in the Central Caribbean there, and then it kind of gets picked up. Okay? And at the meantime, you've got like some of these little homegrown deals. One is over near the Carolinas. The other one is kind of doing its thing way out there. So, you know, you've got a lot happening. That's all I'm trying to point out is you've got one little weak one moving into the Caribbean, changing atmospheric dynamics. You've got a couple out in the open Atlantic. But notice what's happening here. A little homegrown deal around the Bahamas, out near the Carolinas around the 28th. And then that kind of Fujiwara's around, and then this recurves. So that's the operational GFS. Now, remember that when we talk about models, it's not just the operational that we like to use. We really like to look at the ensembles because the ensembles give us the opportunity to look at what's going on inside the model's thinking. So this is the GFS ensemble. Of course, This is something if I wanted to isolate it, it's really nice. But for all of our intents and purposes of tracking things, this is way too overwhelming to look at, right? So what I do is I reset it to literally be on top of itself. So what you're going to see on this graphic is it looks like 30 storm systems. All right, but it's just 50 models on top of each other. So like you see in the central Atlantic there, if I put just the low locations up, you can kind of see some of those are ensemble tags of low pressure areas. Okay. But notice here toward the end of the window, you know, what the GFS is trying to think up is something kind of coming from the Caribbean, maybe weak over Florida or just east of Florida. You see that there? And then kind of recurving. But the ensembles are continuing to indicate something kind of home growing. Now, the Hurricane Center highlighted on their forecast, they highlighted the Gulf of Mexico. To me, I would almost have highlighted the Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico. Because I think, you know, looking at consistency from the models the last couple of days, it's really been the Caribbean that stuff wants to bubble up. You know, is it around Florida? I mean, it's around Florida. You know, the last couple of months, like that's the current run of the ensembles. If we go back to the 0Z ensembles, you know, so there's definitely a Gulf bias and then there's an East bias. If we go back 2 ensembles on the GFS, everything was like the Gulf and then the East. But the Gulf was certainly a more identified area. Zero, yeah, and there's the 12Z from yesterday, like lunchtime-ish. So at least in terms of the ensemble plots today, it's definitely more like Florida up the eastern seaboard. Now this fits into our long-range hurricane forecast package, so I'm fine with that. I would tell you if it didn't, but anyway, that's kind of what we're looking at there. Okay, let's switch over to the operational European. And let's back it up. We go to the basin. It's kind of trying to, you see, it's kind of trying to develop the 2 areas with a third out around the ABC Islands down near South America. Not really developing, but becoming a nice area of low pressure. There are the 2 out there. There's some area of low pressure in the Caribbean, right? Like that much we know. And then look at how the European recurves everything way out to sea and doesn't really, at least on the operational, doesn't really do anything tropical over the United States. But it does put a front which just has some moisture around and maybe, you know, a storm, like a continental type storm system rolling off the coast of New England. So there's that. But let's come back and reset things here. And let's look at the ensemble plots. And again, this is the European ensembles. Same thing with the GFS. A bunch of different ensemble members that we're going to put all on one graphic. So you've kind of got this idea that there's kind of this weak front wave that kind of enters into the Caribbean and then kind of starts trying to do its thing, or the Gulf forms. So the Europeans kind of saying there's going to be that weak little area, you see it there in the bottom right corner of your screen, that will lift up toward the Bahamas, or something forms around the Bahamas and then kind of moves over toward the Gulf. To me, I'm highlighting the Caribbean working up toward like the Bahamas for some sort of development, crossing Cuba, staying fairly weak, and then off of like the east coast of Florida, perhaps lifting up to the north and strengthening. That's kind of what the pattern shows me there. But there's a lot of ensemble stuff happening, right? So definitely something to watch, right? So at the end of the day, all of the models, all of the ensemble plots are trying to get something going in the next couple of days around the southeastern United States, which is why I think we should watch things particularly closely. Now, there's one more tool in our tool chest that y'all may or may not be aware of, and it's called the BSR. This is utilizing a weather technique referred to as a teleconnection. And the idea is you're looking at, believe it or not, weather patterns in the Pacific. And we teleconnect them over to the Atlantic. It's not perfect, but it at least gives us an idea of what's coming about 2.5 or so weeks out. So, first things first, we kind of have these, it kind of has this more continental area of low pressure, either kind of forming in the Gulf of Mexico, but you kind of see it there, north of the Florida Panhandle. Maybe it's a little further south and it forms in the Gulf. But either way, you kind of get this storm system around the Carolinas. And if I time this out, that was October 11th. So a couple of days ago. But translating that out, that's the 28th. So just based on that alone, the 28th will be looking at perhaps something around the Carolinas. That's my takeaway from that. But then right after that, watch this in the Gulf. That's the 14th of October. Why am I saying October? That's the 14th of August. So if you extrapolate that out, that's the 31st of August. Storm system in the Gulf of Mexico heading right toward the Big Bend. And that's the 14th into the 15th. So that's around August 31st into September 1st on the BSR, showing something in the Gulf. Now that time frame there would line up to a piece of our long range forecast cycle. Both of them really would be. So of course the first one we've got is the Carolina storm system. We were looking at that around the 28th, we said, right? And if you look at the 28th in terms of our timeline, August 21st through the 29th, we've got the Carolina storm system. And then that Gulf Coast storm system times out. There's the Big Bend, and we've got that highlighted at August 30th through September 5th. So just by looking at the data itself, that's the 31st Big Bend area. There's the 30th through the 5th. So it does kind of time out properly. So both of those fit into the pattern. Think of the BSR as just the ability to check our work. All right, that's kind of the only way that you really should look at it. So watching, checking it out. We're using all the tools in the tool chest to kind of look downstream. What I'll tell you is this: the tropical map is showing a bunch of potential areas of development. None of these have developed yet. So for now, the tropics are still fairly quiet, but there are 3 areas that we're watching. Certainly, we're going to be watching this carefully, but to me, watch around home next week. That's going to be the Caribbean, the Gulf, the Atlantic out near the Bahamas. That's the corridor, to me, that we should watch. Okay? Any other questions about the tropics? Now I'm done doing the analysization. Now it's up to you to ask the questions. And while you're asking the questions, we can listen to our girl again.
My Florida people, have you guys realized how it's been insanely hot all summer? And
it has. Is she real? Like, is she a real person?
And more humid. It's been unbearably hot even.
The only thing louder than the people in the background of her are the lies she's spewing. Florida people. Look, I mean, I do coffee talk around kids all the time. So believe me, I know those little goobers can be loud. Florida people, they're not telling us. Florida people. Taylor says, I seriously want whatever drugs she's on to be that confident. I mean, I don't know. Okay, ridiculous weather doom lady has gotten us all off kilter. Eric has been no hype in telling us the real weather stuff, and the train went off the tracks. Jeannie, I will always share with you all the data. I will always give her the information. Yeah. Florida people are not that stupid. That's what I think. But I've seen it shared so much, and I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. And what's even better is that there are people, I've seen people on social media saying things like, I really wish there was a meteorologist that was reporting this. And I'm like, you're just talking about some girl that's either AI or has 1,000 filters together. Like, I went to school for years for this. I've been in the weather game for 22 years. And I'd like to think that we've done a pretty good job of outlining like dates and things. The only thing that I'm proud of is I'm like, well, either she pulled 2 states out of her tuchus, or she somehow watched our long range forecast, because at least she said Florida and the Carolinas. And I'm like, well, crud, those are my hot spots. So anyway, oh boy. All right, enough. That's it. Any other questions? Apparently this originated from a self-proclaimed time traveler. Oh, well, that's interesting. To us in this house, your information is gospel as you share and explain the maps. We pay attention to you. Well, thank you. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and like say I'm the only person on the planet that knows how to read maps, but just make sure you understand fiction and reality. What is happening here? Elizabeth, Cooper has a question for you. He said if he wants to be a meteorologist, does he need to have more math skill or more reading skills? He said he's a math man. Cooper, I'm glad you're a math man, because math is very, very important in meteorology. It is. You need to be able to do good reading to be able to understand peer-reviewed papers and things, and to, of course, to read the maps. But math is very, very important. Yes, very, very important. Yeah. All right, people. Manolfi has called me, and Jeremy Nelson has called me. So it's because they know I finished Coffee Talk at 8:30, and here it is at 8:38. So that's that. I will be back on Wesh 2 News at noon, and I will see you for our 3:30 Coffee Talk, and we'll look at the new models and all that fun stuff. Sound good? Sound good. Thank you all so much. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you for hanging out and not reading the fluff. Florida people. Okay, all right. Bye, y'all.